don't care about a thing. Always took what I wanted. Well, I wanted everything. And I live for the moment. I wanted everything. I live for the moment. I live for the moment. Don't care about a thing. Always took what I wanted, and I wanted everything. 'Cause I live for the moment. Don't care about a thing. Always took what I wanted, and I wanted everything. And I live for the moment.
This is iRacing.
Hello everybody and welcome along to Happy Hour here on iRacing with the GT4 Falken Tyre Challenge to start out our broadcast here today. We've got a full house in the commentary booth here. First of all, it's myself, Paul Smith. Alongside me is Jake Sperry, and then later on we're going to have some radical action with Taylor Berris and Devon Henry. But Jake, I mean, what a way to start Happy Hour. GT4s are on a brand new track here on iRacing, Sandown Park.
And this is just the perfect car to get yourself introduced to GT style racing. It is the perfect car in the D license. You push yourself forward into a car that is a little bit down on power compared to, for example, a GT3. But what you would say, Paul, is that this is the sort of car where you are really going to test your mettle. Most importantly, when it comes to close quarters combat, it is all about tactics, and this is probably one of the most tactical circuits for racing over the course of the 12-week season.
Absolutely. It is week 3 of season 3 here in 2022 on iRacing. So we're going to be having a look at what you, the iRacers, are doing here this week. It's not World Championship drivers that we'll be seeing here. It is actual genuine members who are out there on the track. So if you want to get a piece of the action, do make sure you join us on iRacing. But let's have a look at the track map here then at Sandown Raceway. Really fun track to race around. I was racing around here yesterday, Jake, but talk us through some of the key points and the opportunities around here.
Well, this Victorian track is all about the front 2 straights you've got there. So that run to turn number 1 is key. That run up the vista towards turn number 9 is just as important, and it really is about setting yourself up. The runs from turn 4 all the way to 6, 7, 8, 9, the run out of turn 12, those are the ones today that need to be absolutely correct. Expect breakaways to form in the opening couple of laps, and those drivers to use the slipstream today and try and break themselves away from the rest of the field.
not too much undulation to contend with around here either, so it's going to be really a good challenge for these drivers to take out. Let's have a look at the format of this race then. So it is GT4 cars. There's 5 GT4 cars to choose from. The race is just 15 minutes long. There's no pit stops here, and if you do have a D-Class license with a 4 safety rating, then you can join in these races every 2 hours here on iRacing. And with this being a fixed setup series as well, it's a great entry level to GT racing for members who are coming out of rookie, isn't it?
Absolutely. You don't need to be, a whiz with how to set up a car. You've got a car that's perfectly tuned to you. Every driver who is out there is on exactly the same level, and therefore it is just driver skill that makes the difference as they go out there. And to some respect as well, Paul, you could argue balance of performance on top of that. Of course, 5 cars to choose for, and that is going to be absolutely massive when you get a track like this. This is where you need the top speed.
It certainly is. It's a track that is known for top speed as well, with the Supercars series that takes place around here. And of course, if you do want to join us here on iRacing, head on over to iRacing.com, where there's currently a 40% off offer for all new memberships. That's iRacing.com to start your racing career here today. And I always say every day is a race day here on iRacing. And well, looking at this venue, magnificent venue. Not only that, we've got new car as well into the GT4 mix, haven't we, Jake? Because we've got the Mercedes-AMG GT4 out there as well, which should give us a great sight and good sound as well.
Oh, absolutely. I was at Snetterton a couple of weeks ago and got a chance to see the AMG GT4 in person, and my God, did it roar past the front stretch every time it went by. It's a wonderful little machine. It goes out there, it's got that perfect balance that is needed for a GT4 car out there. And to be perfectly honest, if I was someone who was looking to try and enter and pick a car for the first time in the likes of this Falken Tyre GT4 series, that is the car that I would pick to go forward and say, this is where I want to cut my teeth.
Absolutely. Of course, brand new car to iRacing this season as well, so yeah, you can go out and get that one. And here's a little bit of insider knowledge for everyone. If you do end up with 100% of the content available on iRacing, first of all, you get an achievement. Secondly, you also get extra discount off of further content.
And every chance you get to say brand new content, and I have a little bit more that I can say for the loyalty, the reward of being here for so long. I've seen so many members on iRacing be here for 10 plus years and have so much fun with everything new that comes out, build on build on build. And this is one of the really cool things about this sim racing platform here, about iRacing. It's ever evolving, it's ever changing, it's ever improving. It is the most amazing thing out there, that you can go out and you can just see how beautiful these cars are, as we see right now with qualifying.
Certainly do. And we see one of our Aston Martin Vantage cars out there. We've got a nice big grid, I must say, for this race. So 29 cars will be taking part in this one, so it's great to see that amount of people out there. But as we see, we've got the Aston Martin Vantage there, and it's the car 13 of Sean Hatfield working his way down through this fastback section. Little dab of the brakes through the left-hander. You're going to climb over that curb and then hard onto the brakes for turn number 9, one of those opportunities to overtake. Here's your BMW M4 as well, out there in qualifying, and these drivers, they do get themselves 2 laps to set themselves a qualifying time, 8 minutes, so plenty of time out there, Jake, for them to set a qualifying time. And look at that, there we go, the Mercedes AMG for us.
Absolutely, and making that charge over towards the start-finish line and crossing that one beautifully there and setting a pretty solid time of it. Lucas Gabler currently on the top of the times at the moment, but this is pretty much your standard when you get into an iRacing session. You get 8 minutes, 2 laps to figure out what you need to do over the course of a qualifying run to get ready for the race. And it really does say pressure on, because if you don't get that first lap right, you absolutely have to get the second lap correct, and I believe we've just seen that with Marcos Riffel, who's moved up into third fastest at the moment. But you're really seeing, actually as well, just how bumpy it is going up through 6, 7, 8 and into 9, and just how aggressive you need to be over that curb.
And these curbs, they're not like at a Grand Prix venue where it's nice flat curbs for them to go over. These curbs are monsters around here, so you've really got to be able to handle those curbs. Around the final corner goes car number 8, Hugh Esterson, and across the line to set another lap time. Does he improve? The answer is yes, up to 7th place on our standings there. We've got about 2 3/4 minutes remaining in this one, and a few drivers left to set themselves a qualifying time. Adrian Murray out there coming across the line now as well for the end of his second lap. So lap time's coming in thick and fast, but Jake, 29 cars around here. This is going to be something special for 15 minutes. It's a sprint race.
It is, and especially with 29 machines around here, it is going to feel fast and ferocious. It's pretty much going to feel like out of the gates, being on that race course on the infield and galloping along in the opening couple of furlongs. It is that sort of understanding that you have, that you've got to be in the right place in the pack to go out there and attack. And with 29 cars, I will say this very calmly, the gap is 0.5 of a second at the moment in qualifying. I don't think that means very much. In the race, I think people are going to be able to hold on to the coattails, and this becomes very, very much about where you place yourself, how fast, how quickly.
There's one of our McLaren 570s coming across the line now. That's Roberto Friese in the car number 2. The car numbers, it's worth pointing that out to everyone. So if you are new to iRacing, the lower your car number, the higher your iRating. And then your iRating is effectively like a ranking system, and it helps them, the iRacing service, be able to put you into races where you will be able to have competitive races against other people at all times. So the top iRating driver is Lucas Geibler, who's on pole position. He's got a 7,220 iRating. Florian Rousseau, who's in second place, car 16, 2,423. So it shows how people, even if they have got a lower iRating, have just as much of a chance as those with those really high iRatings.
I certainly agree, and it also comes down to how much time you put into iRacing as well. I believe that, you know, with a field like this, where you've got drivers who are 7,000 iRating in there and drivers who are 2,000 iRating, you have a really good chance to gain iRating if you qualify high up the field. The one thing as well, Paul, that I would say with 30 seconds left, those drivers who haven't set a time in qualifying, they're at the bottom, but they get ordered by their iRating at the bottom of the field. So an advantage to get more iRating.
Absolutely, it just gets you a little bit higher up if, for whatever reason, if you had issues out there, or if you decided that you want to do a back-to-front challenge, like I know some people do like to do in races. But the starting grid will be coming up very shortly indeed for us, as we put 50p into the graphics machine, and then we'll be able to give you that starting grid. But I can tell you is Lucas Geibler, who's on pole position, sharing that front row. Alongside him is Florian Rousseau, second place. The second row of the grid, it is Marcus Riffel and Roberto Friese, with Kiko Lacal and Sam White, row number 3. Row number 4 then is Julien Cassot with Hugh Esterson alongside them, and Simon Renault and Adrian Mori with Robert Schwenkler, and also next to him is Renzo Rosado. Going through the field, then you're seeing the different marks, the different manufacturers there. We've got Aston Martins, we've got Mercedes, BMW out there. We've got a Porsche Cayman as well on tracks. We've got a real mix of cars out there for this race here, Jake. But those drivers at the back, they do have opportunities to move forward here with 15 minutes. That's going to be very difficult.
It is, but I would say count your chickens before they've hatched at this point in time. I think that it's very much a sort of case where you go out, you're at the back of this field, 29 car field, you expect it to be hectic. You expect everyone to want to try and gain places early over through 15 minutes, and they're going to try and do as much as they can to push that forward. They will be starting, of course, with a rolling start, and that is going to be very, very important for them, Paul, because that essentially gives them a half a lap to set the tempo, to effectively settle into the race.
Absolutely, gives them the opportunity just to get a feel of how the car is on those cold tyres. Of course, it's a long front straightaway down towards turn number 1. Cold tyres and brakes will be an issue going into turn 1 on lap 1, especially when you're 2, 3, even 4 wide, I've seen down here into turn 1 in the past. So definitely opportunities to be had out there for those drivers who get to the grips with their car as quickly as possible. But with the iRacing fix setup that we have here in the series, it does help those drivers out there just to be able to cope with things. The driver's just waiting for the Porsche to pull away at the safety car to take us underway. So your pole sitter, Lucas Gabler, then leading the field away, and he'll be the one who will see the green flag waved by Barney, the flagman. Don't forget, everybody, this is the GT4 Falken Tyre Challenge, the Fix Series. 15-minute race here for these drivers to compete in. A nice stacked field. That's what you love to see here. And Jake, just very quickly then, what are your predictions for this one?
Expect this to be hectic, expect it to be fast, expect this to be down to the last lap between about 4 cars out there in the field, and keep an eye out on number 16. Really like the pace.
Connor Welsh is starting from the pit lane, so he wasn't able to take the start. But coming out the final corner, they're waiting for the green flag, they're going now. Barney will be waving that green flag on the flag stand, and we are underway then for 15 minutes of action here at Sandown Raceway. Down towards turn number 1 they go for the first time. Look at all the drivers ducking and diving down towards the first corner. We're going too wide, there's a little bit of a contact in front. That was second place, getting knocked there, and Florian Rasseur started in second, is dropping all the way down the field here. Does everybody else manage to get through into turns 2, 3 and 4? If you go too wide through here, you've got to be really careful. You've got to have that cooperation between those drivers. But now back onto the back straightaway, and they will be able to get their foot down. And oh, there's a bit of a track blockage there. And Florian, oh, he's trying to keep out the way here. Car 16 started in second place. It's just not going right for him.
No, it's gone completely wrong off at the start. They were making contact actually just before the green flag dropped, and very much the case on the run from 3 in towards 4. It is a bottleneck. It feels very much like a street circuit as you go through that section. Someone else then has found themselves in trouble then through the gravel in the middle section of the lap. And you are right there. It is Robert Schwenkler who's in a bit of trouble in the number 14. So a very rapid start, but you can see immediately as they run through on the front stretch, they're trying to break the draft early. They're trying to make sure that everyone who is in this race stays out of range, and it has been a pretty chaotic start. Front 3, though, have a little bit of a gap here. Roberto Freezer to Sam White. That is a gap. But, oh, there's a spin in second. Big issue for Marcos Riffel.
Oh, don't be careful with the rejoin. Oh, and he's in the middle of the track. He's nowhere to go for that car. And, well, around the go, collected between them. And that's the problem between turn 3 and 4. It's very narrow. It's very tight through there. And if you have one driver make a mistake, it can cause a track blockage, and before you know it, you're ended up at the scene of the accident. But you're absolutely right now. Lucas Gabler pulled away. He's running away at the front. He's got a 2-second lead over Fraser. Big contact in the background there. Oh, even more with a 15. Oh, it's absolute carnage out here. Adrian Morey getting sent around. He's got significant damage. He's going to have to park that car.
Yeah, Jessica Rakowski getting turned around then by Hansen, Todd Hansen. So the middle of the pack getting absolutely crazy in these early goings. And this is the thing. It's 15 minutes. It's fast. It's really strong racing that you've got to be able to go with. And the moment that you give an inch out there on this track. The drivers will try and take a mile away from you. So I'm not surprised to see these drivers being so aggressive, being so determined. It's a great four-car battle here. Lorenzo Rosado at the front of it, Christopher Hill, Jimmy Van Eyck in there, Javier Caballero as well, also in the mix. This actually, from the start, is now your top 10, and all of these drivers are a combined equivalent of 20 places in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. 5, 6, 4, 5 positions gained between the four of them, so really good. Taking advantage of those incidents that have happened here in the early going. Now, you may be wondering with this series, you'll see one or two drivers go back out onto track. There is a free fast repair, as it's called, so it's a little bit of a get out of jail free card. If you do end up with significant damage to your car, you can get onto pit road either by taking the tow back to pit road or being able to drive the car back to pit road and get out on track, because every lap that you turn here, if you complete clean laps around the track, you will be able to get yourself more safe, improve your chances of getting a better safety rating. But here's a replay of the start then, Jake.
Yeah, and this is the key. Moving into turn number 1, a tap on the rear tyre there, that rear left, is enough to unsettle that Mercedes. And ultimately, for number 16 here in this race, that was not the plan that was needed. Oh, how close do you want to be to the barriers there, coming back out of turn 4 and onto this race then. We're only through 3 laps onto a 4th, and it just shows you how much you have to respect this Sandown circuit. This is not going to be a case of you can push yourself wide and use maybe track and a half. You absolutely have to respect the limits around this place.
I think it was actually a little bit too close to the wall there for Adrian Mori, and ended up maybe clipping that wall a little bit. Meanwhile, we've got Renzo Rosado and Christopher Hill going side by side. They were switching positions. Meanwhile, further forward as well, Julian Cassot and Simon Renault that we're on board with here. 4th place, this is over right now. You've got Kiko Lascelles behind as well. So a little bit of a 3-car grouping here for that 4th place. They can see 3rd and 2nd place ahead of them. They've got to be careful not to fight too hard here, Jake, because they'll slow each other down, they'll trip each other up, they'll lose those podium positions. If they can work together, they can maybe pull themselves forward.
Absolutely, and this is the key to this sort of race. You do not want to be battling right now with 9 minutes to go when you know that you can put in a couple of good laps and find yourself up with the cars that are there in front of you. They're fighting for 4th. They have a chance to fight for 3rd, and the gap over the line was only 2.5 seconds to Hugh Esterson in the number 8 machine in front in the AMG Mercedes. So it just tells you, if you want to go out there and battle, you can, but it will cost time. It's like trying to extricate yourself from a thorn bush backwards. It's always going to be painful when you are battling with another car and you find yourself all of a sudden dealing with machines behind, which you know on pure outright pace you are quicker than.
I have to say, it's a lot of years since I was last in the thorn bush, so you must have more experience than me recently. But since they go down towards turn number 1 then, and Renand trying to look there, the Canadian, looking left, looking right. He's trying to get in the mirrors of that Aston Martin, looking further back as well. A little bit of contact. Javier Caballero, well, he pushed the back marker out the way there and manages to keep going. Adrian Mori, he's not having a good race out there. He's getting absolutely just bullied out the way, is Adrian. He is a lap car after the incidents on lap 1 and 2, but right now you can see how much that the racing that they're having out here, you see how different cars are able to close up. Speaking of closing up, Renault is going to lose the position to Lacal.
Yeah, Kiko Lakaye doing a great job holding or moving through actually and taking that position. That was just being opportunistic there. It was that run up and they were side by side through 6, 7 and 8 before the move got completed at turn number 9. And you need patience sometimes to make a move happen when you're too wide. And crucially, they didn't cost each other that much time. They've kept themselves within range, 0.8 of a second to Guillaume Cassot. just in front. And that then, for the number 4, compared to the number 7, is a case of chase. And speaking of cases of chases, turn 1's going to be the prime place to get it done, as we look with Matthew Eriksson trying to go down the inside of Felipe Stollerk out there on track. And that, it just shows you how difficult that opening corner is. Look how high that curb is, and effectively how they straddle it like they're trying to effectively get themselves through for skateboarding points.
I can tell you right now from experience of racing around here last night, you get over on that curb and it's like being in a canoe. You've got no steering as the car bottoms out over that curb. But you saw how Felipe thought, right, I'll back out of that one, let him take the deep line into turn 1, try and get the cutback. Didn't quite work out for Felipe. Number 29 car, by the way, our lowest iRacing driver, currently in 16th place, so doing well. But here's a view for one of our drivers then, and Kiko behind the wheel from the Iberian club. And this is the view that you do have when you're racing here in iRacing. Down into turn 1, brake hard at the 100-meter board. The number 7's actually run a bit deep there. That gives an opportunity. Kassup losing a little bit of time, and Kiko putting the pressure on.
3-car battle, and it is just so crucial when you do see a mistake. You can start your iRacing career today by logging on to iRacing.com. For brand new members, you can get yourself 40% off of a brand new membership. But what is crucial when you're in a battle like this, it's about pressure. It's about applying pressure. All pressure, Paul, is mental. It is in your own mind. You don't give a driver other pressure, but you can increase the chances of a mental mistake. And there it's turn number 1. We saw it, and now GM Cassot is on the back foot. And it's not just Kiko Lakaye who's there, it's Simon Renault, who also wants to find himself in that mix, wants to find that battle. And look how brilliant as well this the battle was there, as the battle for 7th. Look at this, 5-car train stacked up behind Christopher Hill.
I think there is a lap car in there, but yeah, definitely 4 cars running 7th through to 10th. Hill, Caballero with Resido and with Vanacek, as down towards turn 1 we go once again. So Caballero into turn 1, not really able to get alongside, and that's the thing, you've got to get that run out of turn 12 and be alongside into turn 1, because it's not the biggest of braking zones into turn 1. And so you've really got to be alongside to make that one count. But it's the run out of turn 4 here and down that back straight where you can carry that speed through the little kink of 5 into 6. Now you've got to be brave. If you've got 2 drivers alongside each other, as Adrian Morey is trying to unlap himself right now from the number 3 of Jimmy Vanacek. But if you're too wide through this left-hander, you've got to have a bit of cooperation there, and it loses both of them time.
It does, and Adrian Morey has every right to go and try and get that place back. It's not necessarily the most shined upon thing to do, but they also have to remember as well here in iRacing that it's the responsibility of the faster car to get past the lap car. That is what effectively is the standard and sets the standard. And Jimmy Van Eyck, I think, did something really clever in that battle. He just lifted off, allowed the lap car to go through. I'll deal with my race a little bit later on. Battle continues though. 4th, 5th and 6th positions on the road, and everyone's trying to get as much road as they can on the outside on the run into turn number 2, because it opens it up slightly wide. Through turn 4 goes Guillaume Cassot, but he managed to get the car cornered off quite nicely, and now it's about power up the hill. It's a small ride, it's a subtle ride, but it's enough of one that they reach the highest point of the circuit here, 6, 7, 8 and 9, and it's 3 different manufacturers here as they battle through. Guillaume Cassot out there then in the Aston Martin, following that is the McLaren, following that is the BMW. And
still we're going side by side through those corners, contact between them, the 5's in the wall, Caballero is around, he's got suspension damage, the other Mercedes is off in the gravel as well, so both drivers ended up off of the track there, and Caballero's going to have to take a tour back to pit road. That's an absolute disaster there for Javier. Meanwhile, we're into the final 2.5 minutes here. We've got about 3, maybe 2 laps, depending on when the leader crosses the line, and that McLaren trying to get past, and Kiko is looking like he's setting his intention out there, but Simon Renault behind, certainly keeping the pressure on.
He is, and all these attacks into turn number 1, they're not going to be doing many favours here. It builds up and opens that gap when you have to back out of it. So sometimes you do see that opportunity, you do have that chance to look to the inside. The good and fortunate news right now for Kiko Lacal is that Guillaume Cassot made a mistake coming out of 4. It's opened the door up to the inside, and at a rate of knots going through into 6. The move is passed, scored, and completed. But look at this, Cassot trying to get back under braking. Oh, what an incredible move that is. And suddenly, Renault says, oh, cookies, that's mine. I'll take that one, an extra position.
Ever the opportunist right there, Renault, to make up the position. That is wonderful stuff. A great up and under as well from Cassot, you have to say. That was sensational stuff and great racing. You see how none of those drivers made any contact with each other. They gave each other room, gave each other racing room. But meanwhile, this isn't over here. Lacal is going for that down into turn number 1. Renault, a little bit of a lean, and we've got Mercedes, more Mercedes into the wall. That's not exactly showroom ready, but Renault has actually lost that position then, lost it back to Kiko, but these two have actually lost ground now on Cassot in front.
Yeah, it was Andrew Walsh. It was actually the biggest mover in the field. He was up 17 spots before that incident there with Christopher Hill. So a real shame in terms of that one. But at least right now, it is all about this battle between Renault and Kiko Lacal as they go up in towards turn number 6, and they are very swiftly running out of time in this race because they know the leader Lucas Gabler has just crossed the line with 35 seconds, and the white flag will now be flying here at Sandown International Motor Raceway.
Well, Lucas Gabler, after all of this, we barely talked about him. He's been out there at the front, 8.25 seconds between him and Roberto Freezer in second place. But this is the one, this is the action here on track. It's Kiko versus Simon. They're not really close enough to Gilliam in front. So the two of them into turn number 1. No move being made by Simon Renault. I think he's going to try and set up a run out of turn number 4. Up over the curbs. That BMW, it does like the curbs, that BMW. Into turn number 4. Get the run out of it. You need to carry the speed. You need the slipstream. And right now, you have to say that Kiko Lacal has great slipstream from the car in front of Guillaume Cassot. That's going to be helping him all the way up this little rise here into turn number 6. Onto the brakes they go, through the left, sweeping corner. But meanwhile, at the front, he's that far ahead. He's coming across the line. Lucas Gabler then will take the checkered flag here on Happy Hour. What a result here for him in the GT4 Falken Tyre Fix Challenge. Fantastic stuff, but this one isn't over yet. 4th, 5th, 6th, all together as they come across the line at that final corner. I do think that Guillaume Cassot has just got the advantage there as they get across the line. But more racing further down here, Jake. 10th through to 15th.
Yeah, and Stolak looking for a move on Mike Thompson. Everywhere you look, they've got to try and find and open up that opportunity. There was a little thought from Tom Stork back there, who's up 13 positions in this race. He's had a wonderful drive here today and gets over the line then and scores his race perfectly completed. And that, you would have to say, was a hectic race, but I think the greatest compliment, Paul, you can ever pay a driver who wins a race is to not show them at all. The reason why is that you were so good, you were so dominant at the front of the field, we had no reason to talk about you.
Exactly. Absolutely wonderful stuff from Lucas Gabler then. We'll get you your official results once everybody has crossed the line. But that was absolutely tremendous fun. Fantastic stuff. This is why we picked this series here for the Happy Hour. But there you go. In his Mercedes AMG, Lucas Gabler wins by 9 seconds over Roberto Freezer in his McLaren 570. Hugh Esterson in Mercedes AMG in 3rd place. And then Guillaume Cassot, 4th place in his Aston Martin with Kiko Lacal with 5th place. Simon Renault 6th place. Renzo Rosido in 7th with Jimmy Vanacek. Sean Hatfield and Matthew Eriksson round out the top 10.
So then just moving I believe we'll move over the page then and see the battling Robert Schwenkler there in 11th, Dirk Severson there in 12th, and the rest of the field then coming through. And it is a deep field, but it's also deep in the sense, Paul, that you look through and you see there are at least 7, 8 drivers in that field, 1 lap down or more.
Yeah, absolutely. But it shows as well, though, that for people like Andrew Walsh, Adrian Morey, and also Julio Lopez Alcida, is that they used their fast repair, they used their free repair, they got back out on track there and got the laps in, because, yeah, you may not be winning the race after being involved in an incident, but it certainly gives you a tremendous opportunity to get more practice, get more race practice, and get used to there being cars around you.
Yeah, absolutely. And this effectively becomes a development style series. It really does show that you need to be alert, you need to be pretty much on your wits about you, looking in your mirrors, checking on how you look to construct a battle, how you look to manage a battle, and crucially, where is the right place to make the overtake on track, because we saw a lot of drivers look to try and make an overtake as and when the first opportunity came to them. Sometimes waiting a couple of corners, giving yourself that chance to go and find the right place to attack, often gives you all of the momentum and crucially doesn't cost you as much time as just throwing the car up the inside and holding both drivers up by a second.
Yeah, absolutely. And some drivers, they're more of a thinking driver. They like to wait the time, bide the time, and then make the perfect move. Whereas some drivers, they just have this innate ability to be able to arrive, get the move done, drive away. So that's what's happening. So that is the GT4 Falken Tyre Challenge that we were bringing to you. We're going to just get ourselves switched over very shortly to get ourselves over to the Radicals here. So that's why we're just waiting on things a little bit here. But it's a perfect opportunity to remind people that, well, I mean, you saw Sandown. It's a tremendous racetrack. You should go race there, and where better than an iRacing?
Where better indeed, and what an incredible circuit this is. It's another track that adds to the Australian contingent there. Winton as well was incredible when that came out as well, and the chance you get to do that is if you do so today, you log on to iRacing today and get yourself in with an opportunity to race pretty much at any time of the day. There is a series out there for you to go out there to race, to learn, to improve, and it's also as well not just about official races as well. There's loads of great league racing that goes on in there, time attacks if you want time to improve, and on top of that, AI racing. It's got everything here, has iRacing.
Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. I've been a member for 10 years myself, so I'm not just here to talk about it, but speaking of talking about it, here's some highlights from that race, and it was that incident. Oh, you had to feel, though, didn't you, for the number 16 of Florian Rousseau at the start, losing it, and then more contact, more spins, Marcus Reifel losing it there and ended up getting T-boned. Jake, more action in the background with drivers going off, and Adrian Morey finding himself in the wall.
Yeah, absolutely. I will have to apologise there to Rousseau there, because it's once again the proof that I shouldn't pick anything. But ultimately, this was a very, very hectic race at a track which does produce this style of racing, and it is the sort of place where you do have to pretty much keep yourself on a tight leash for 2 or 3 laps, and the positions will effectively fall to you. But some great movements, some great racing, and pretty much everyone out there is just trying to do what they can in 15 minutes. It's the perfect sprint format to say, get everything you possibly can out of the car, get every lap sorted. This is effectively what GT racing opening should be like. Cut your teeth before you move up through the ranks to the likes of GT3 and GTE.
That last move, by the way, was my favourite move of the race and the whole event here in the GT4 Falken Tyre Challenge. Of course, it's not just GT racing that we have here on iRacing as well. We've got all sorts of different. You've got open wheel racing. You've got NASCAR stock car racing. You've got dirt oval. You've got you've got the rallycross. You've got the trucks as well, which currently got the off-road World Championship Series as well going on at this time as well. So yeah, certainly plenty for you to take part in here on iRacing. And well, to give us a bit of radical racing here at VIR, let's hand you over to our other commentary team. That is Devin Henry. But first, Taylor Burris.
Brand new content here on the iRacing circuit, and none of course, the Radical SR10s, which is going to provide a lot of great racing content. But first and foremost, we have to talk about this amazing track also that we're at, Virginia International Raceway, America's motorsports resort.
That's what's up over the years, is just trying to be part of that American motorsports staple in terms of all forms of racing when you come to the United States, because they have it all. They got a little bit of kart racing, they have all these different rentals, so many different things to do here when you come to VIR. And taking a look at this racetrack, man, it's a beauty, but it is so dang long. This full course that we're going to race on, 3.27 miles, almost 5.25 kilometers, 17 turns in this race. Back when it first opened in 1957, this is almost the exact same center line track layout that has been here since the track originally opened. And you see those two massive straightaways on this track. The front straight, where that start-finish line is 3,000 feet long, about 915 meters, and the back straightaway, 4,000 feet, just over 1,200 meters long. And also, how about the characteristics it has of an elevation change, about a 130 feet elevation change throughout this event. And with that, that's about halfway up the Statue of Liberty. These guys are going to be roller coastering, pun intended, with the corner up and down this racetrack.
They certainly are. Let's take a look at the format. This is, of course, the Radical Racing Challenge, a fixed series here on the iRacing service, utilizing the brand new Radical SR10. Tonight's race is going to be 15 laps long. No pit stops are required. And if you are a license level C-class holder, you can come out here and race these Radicals, as they are racing every 2 hours here on the iRacing service. Of course, this is the new updated model for the Radical SR8 that was on the service for quite a number of years. As we are looking at the qualifying, and here they are, the beautiful SR10s. Just to give a quick little bit of information about these cars, Devin, I mean, they're 425 brake horsepower, utilizing a 2261cc engine, 380 pounds of torque. I mean, this car here is basically the early stages of working your way through some of the top echelons of prototype racing.
And I tell you what, Taylor, I loved the legacy now Radical that's in the iRacing platform, racing it on ovals, on road courses. It's just a blast to race, especially with some of the downforce. You don't have to worry so much about when you get on the brakes or on the gas on exit, especially having that car rip out. You can really attack corners, but with this car in specific, it still has that downforce. And I don't know if it's just this combo specifically, but I've been on a couple different tracks in this SR10, and the feeling of velocity in this car, it just feels wicked fast. And you see here right at the Oak Tree corner, the biggest issue that drivers are going to have racing this car is pushing it to the limit on corner entry. You might accidentally get that car locked up, and once those rear wheels lock up, that's when it's going to start to push the car out on corner entry. So you don't have to worry as much on corner exit, getting back on that throttle. It is all about the braking points and attacking the corner best you can, especially in a sprint race like this, just about 49 miles around this track.
Looking through the field right now, currently it is Nathan Moore at the top of the leaderboard with a 140.089, and that's usually the average lap times we'll see around this circuit, between the 140 and the 141. Of course, a record lap time here was in the 139s, set a couple of days ago here on the iRacing service. But as we're riding on board here with one of those Radicals, watch how much speed they're going to carry into turn one, the horseshoe, a very difficult corner, double apex almost, as they work their way through this corner here. Very critical to get that run off corner exit as you head over into the NASCAR bend.
Yeah, when you get to the NASCAR bend here, you really want to be full throttle. So it is so vital to not lock up your brakes in turn number one, because the minorest of errors when you enter turn number one is going to affect not just turn two on NASCAR bend, turn three, even to this point, if you were not able to get back to full throttle, it's going to mess up the entirety of your lap. And now, we've talked a lot about iRacing today and the different types of wrinkles that they have. And in these official series, we also happen to have points. These are individual point series as well. They're locked into different divisions. You're able to see them in different regions. Well, there's also an overall points leader standings to get a championship at the end of 12 weeks or a full season. We have the top two in points in this race today.
Well, let's give a look at seeing who's going to be at the start of the front row. It will be Nathan Moore along with Bryce Rodriguez on the front row. And as we look at the rest of the field, you got Mitchell Welker outside the top 6 right there. Daniel Trendesky rounds out your top 5 with Kalen Brandt, who we were on board with momentarily. Cody Wanda, Daniel Porter, and then, of course, Bobby Newman inside the top 20. And then 19th position, riding shotgun, is Connor Pritko. As we will see standing starts, of course, for this event. It's going to be very exciting, very chaotic as they make the run here to the horseshoe as we wait for the lights to go out here once again at Virginia International Raceway. We're happy to have you with us here for iRacing Happy Hour. We're hoping you can enjoy it and have a chance to go out on iRacing, get this car, enjoy it this entire week here at Virginia International Raceway as we wait for the lights to go out, and we will be underway here at VIR.
Such a fun combo, and of course these cars, they race really fun on ovals, but being able to take these road courses, some of the most iconic in America, this is one of the great combos that you can put together on iRacing with this latest brand new car.
Field getting lined up here on the grid. Remember, it is a standing start. We see Barney the Flagman, who had to travel all the way from Sandown to get here to the beautiful VIR, one of the hardest working men in iRacing. As the grid is full, green flag is out as we're underway here at VIR. Already a great jump by multiple cars. The aid of Marihana, who will now try to take them 3 wide as they work down the front straightaway, heading into the horseshoe. Big send for Nathan Moore as he will have control of them. 3 wide still through the horseshoe as they go back to 2 wide. Everyone making it through nice and cleanly as they head to turn 2 and the NASCAR bend.
Boy, they almost wanted to go 3 wide into that corner, and now you have the leaders all strung out, but don't worry, there's going to be a little bit of a slipstream coming up, but it's all about trying to get through these corners safely. 1 car going off track. Here's the issue, though. If you touch a blade of grass, your car just wants to go wacky. Watch them drill through these S's and kind of cut that second corner just a little bit there. Try to gain whatever time that you can. This is where your slipstream is going to come into tow here, and just try to keep up with the guys in front of you.
As they work their way out of Snake, they're going to come up to turn 7, 8, 9, a very rhythm section before they approach the infamous South Bend, turn number 10. As we see 1 car goes off through the South Bend, was able to control it, and now approaching the famous Oak Tree, which is turned 11 and 12. There you see the famous Oak Tree that's still here alive and well on the iRacing service. And now this is where we'll see these cars open up that beautiful 495 horsepower, Devin, as they head down the long back straight before they approach the top of the hill and head down through roller coaster.
They'll surpass 165 miles an hour as they jump into this corner here, and you will see everyone jump on the brakes quickly, no lockups in the front of the pack. And then you go downhill. This elevation change makes getting on the brakes even more difficult than what it already is in order to keep this car in straight. So when you're able to have these guys on lap number 1 on cold tires do that, then it's a matter of trying to do that for 15 laps. It takes a lot of mental stability to get yourself through this race, through those really, really tight and really, really large braking corners.
Just watching the battle for 10th position between Daniel Trinska, Callum Brandt, and Stefan Van Hale as they will do battle for position. Here you see Welker trying to hold off in that 7th position. He will get around Amory for that position as they come through NASCAR. 1 car is off. That's the 12 of Daniel. He is now going to have to try to rejoin the circuit as he will fall back to 15th position as we're now watching the 6th machine of Mitchell Welker starting to work his way through the field, having a decent run right now as they work their way out of the left hook, heading through Snake, sidewinding their way through this section of the course as they go underneath the VIR bridge.
I love a bridge over any racetrack, to be honest with you. It always gives that little bit of extra look, and you can see going through these little bridges of S's and the way that they roller coaster up and down and back and forth. That is where you really get a wild sensation of speed. You'll be going through there going, man, I feel like I'm going 160 right here. And you look down, it's like, I'm only going like 120, 130 right now. And then large braking corner right here. It's all about getting on the brakes. And with the downforce, though, Taylor, you can really stomp that throttle back down on exit. There you see a little bit of some light flashing there, basically just saying, hey, man, I want to get around you here. This is for the 8th position. Gonzalez make the move heading into this large braking corner.
Yeah, they're going to work their way down the back straightaway before approaching the top of the hill, before you head down the roller coaster. And I got to say, Devin, I've had the privilege of racing and driving on this circuit in the real world, and your stomach just absolutely drops from underneath you as you're working your way through the roller coaster, coming out of the final corner of Hog Pin. and working your way, of course, onto the front straightaway here. It's very technical. You have to be so precise with your race car because we've seen time and time again on this circuit, one mistake can send you off into the grass here, as there is plenty of it around VIR as we're watching this battle for the 8th position between Amory along with the number 4 machine of Salas as we take a look at this replay of what amazing events happening here at VIR. Let's take a look.
We find our way. This is the 12th car here as we go into one of those high braking zones. And this is all it takes, a little bit of a lockup on entry. See another car try to follow them up there, but that is the most difficult part of this racetrack. And then the 10 car hops into the grass. I mean, this is how easy it is to get off course on this racetrack. You're going to see everyone try to take some really wide corners. There's a little bit of chaos as everyone tries to rejoin. But when you try to either cut the corners low as you can to save that time or enter the corners wide as you can to get that wide sweeping arc motion, if you just touch a blade of grass, these cars are going to go outright demonic on you. They are going to start to wiggle, swerve, and take you straight into the grass. So it is oh so very important to keep that car, even though you're trying to get that wide arc, off the grass at all times on entry and in the center of the corner.
Yeah, it's going to be very critical here as we're riding on board with Michael Matowska, who's now working his way down the back straightaway, utilizing the slipstream, but has to back off as we're going to go side by side to the top of the hill, a roller coaster. But one car will go off. That's Oscar Pesavento, who will hit the tire barrier, tries to rejoin the circuit, and will do so quickly, but some significant damage to his Radical SR10 as they come out of the hog pin back onto the front straightaway here. 3 laps have already been completed, but we have great battling inside the top 5 as we watch on here. Mitchell Welker trying to keep pace with the rest of this field. This is the battle for 4th position as they work back into Horseshoe here, right onto the gearbox they go with these prototypes. And Devin, we've talked a little bit briefly about these. These Radicals are pretty much that stepping stool to see here as we watch on, and of course have a beautiful view of the intricate detail of the cockpit view of these cars by Bryce Rodriguez in the 5 machine, who's sitting in 2nd place.
And when you purchase these on iRacing, this is what you see. This is your view in the cockpit. Watch everything blur by you. I just find such an incredible sensation of speed in these cars when, at this point, they're not braking anywhere near 160 that you're going to max out at off the straightaways. But this SR10, Radical Motorsports describes it as pure extreme performance. And man, I can't tell you that there's any better way to describe this race car than you can get on iRacing. 0 to 60 in the real world too in 2.4 seconds. It weighs about 1,600 pounds, about 725 kilograms. And it's pretty crazy, the specs on this car. Only 6 foot wide, only 3 foot tall, but 13 foot in length. So they're almost like these bullets, as you see most of them being gray, sliding through your screen. His issues here for Moore. He goes off track, and Rodriguez is going to be able to extend this lead here.
That was your pole sitter, Nathan Moore, who went off track, and it just shows how difficult this circuit is here at Virginia International Raceway as they'll come out of hog pen back onto the front straight as we have a new race leader, Bryce Rodriguez. You rode on board with him on the visor cam as he will take over the race lead here on lap number 4. As they continue to work their way back up into the Horseshoe. Great racing action all throughout the circuit here as we watch these two battle it out. Of course, Nathan Moore, as we're watching him on the track right now, has about a 7,500 I rating compared to, of course, Rodriguez, who had the 4,000 I rating. So it just shows even some of the best here in the business in iRacing with these Radical cars do make mistakes, and really anyone can go out there and try to put on a strong performance, as we're seeing right now by Rodriguez.
And I will go even further beyond that, Taylor. As someone with a very low I rating, although still low skill, I rating does not count for everything. I mentioned that there's a points battle overall in this series. This is actually an important race. Bryce Rodriguez and Nathan Moore are the 2 points leaders in this series. Take a look back here at what ends up happening as they're coming down this long straightaway here. Take a nose, and when you go downhill here, all that is trying to anticipate the corner, locked up the brakes. Now he slides behind that number 5 car. And Bryce Rodriguez, he is actually the points leader. Even though he has the number 5 I rating in this race, through 3 weeks of this season, he has accumulated the most points so far this season. The way that it goes is it basically takes your best race of the week, applies you your points, and the points are based off of, in part, the I rating of that split and where you finish. So Rodriguez only has 7 starts this season in this series. Moore has 15 starts, but Rodriguez has had the better overall finishes and higher splits. That gives him the points lead. But Nathan Moore, he's used to winning. 15 starts in this series through 3 weeks, 10 wins. I like a 66% winning percentage, Taylor.
A very strong winning percentage this season for Nathan Moore, as we're on board with Mitchell Welker in the 6th machine as he runs in 6th position, trying to find a way around Julius Mueller for the top 5 position as they head hard into the braking zone of Horseshoe, really sends it to the inside, tries to wash him up the racetrack a little bit as they approach over towards NASCAR, and then of course none other than the left hook, which is turn number 4, and Mueller is going to hold on. This time he has the inside lane advantage, shuts the door right in front of Welker as they head into the braking zone of the left hook of turn number 4, and then they will sidewind their way through Snake here, turns 5, 6, and as they work their way through, this is a great time to get into a good rhythm before you start climbing the hill through turns 7, 8, and 9, and then of course South Bend when you make that long descent down the hill into Oak Tree.
And this is such a rhythmic course here, Taylor, and specifically with this SR10, one of the attributes that I really just didn't consider when I first jumped on this track specifically was you are almost always changing gears up and down through the gearbox throughout this entire course. There's really no point where you do not have both hands on either both pedal shifters or on your gearbox. So when you are going through this long straightaway, you're shifting all the way down this straightaway. There's really not a point of maybe even 5 seconds or more. I guess 10 seconds. They're already in 6th gear, but this is the longest point where you are not touching all those different gears. On board here with Welker, trying to burst his way into the top 5, and he can see that podium right in front of him. This is where 5 laps into the race, still 10 laps to go, 9 laps this time by. You need to pace yourself, conserve those tires, and just keep yourself in the race. That's all you got to do in these official races, Taylor.
Certainly is. If we're on board with Welker from the Midwest Club, multiple different clubs all across the world here competing. Drivers here from the United States, Finland, Germany, the UK, you name it. You can race against anyone here from around the world on the iRacing service. A great platform to go out there and compete in some of the most prolific tracks and race cars as we watch the battle for 11th between Daniel Porter and Stefan Van Hale. This is the battle for 11th as they work their way into the Horseshoe. Off goes the 11 of Porter, and now he's going to drop to the 13th position, make it 14th, as that one mistake cost him 3 spots here as we go back up to, I believe this is going to be Van Hale right here on screen.
So simple. That's just the brake lockup. Going 165 miles an hour, almost trying to cut that pace down in half. You have to jump on the brakes more than 50, more than 60% typically going into turn number 1 right there. And it's all about managing those brakes throughout the race and managing them every single corner, because it's a fine line where you find that brake lockup and where punching through that corner at the maximum velocity meets themselves. So it's just that simple to get your car out of whack in these SR10s. You have the ability to really punch the throttle on exit, but even right here, you're still kind of dragging the brake before you enter that Oak Tree turn. Now you punch back onto that throttle, try to get some slipstream here down the back straight.
We're on board with Peter Cohen, who is in the 9th position in car number 14 as they work down the back straightaway. He's trying to catch up to the 7 machine of Oscar Pesavento, who was, of course, in an incident early on, has able to climb his way back inside the top 10. A little bit of a wiggle right there as they work down the roller coaster, heading over into Hog Pin. And right behind him, you see Emery in the 13 machine. He rounds out your top 10 as they come out of the final corner, back onto the front straightaway here. These radicals, Devin, are just absolutely amazing. And, you know, for those of you who want to go and try them out, make sure to go visit iRacing.com and, of course, get your subscription today. A great choice of car to race on the service. As we're back up to P3 here with Mikael Matavsik, who is in that 3rd position, holding off Mari Hanpa in the 8 machine as they're working their way through. Coming back out onto the Snake section of the course underneath the VIR bridge. These two right nose to tail, separated by less than half a second.
Welker in the pink and gray car has been so patient, sticking behind Moiler in that yellow and gray number 9 machine. We've seen these two essentially the entirety of this race, and they're almost taking 2 different lines as you go through the S's there, and we get ready for another large braking corner coming up here. You can see the next 2 cars in front of you, but I have been really impressed by Welker's patience throughout this race. Find the spot to make the pass, then advance and try to catch those 2 in front of you. There's still so much racing to go. We still have about 26 miles left in this race, so there's no need to get greedy quite yet.
Welker being very smooth. He now looks to the inside, but he will have the outside advantage as they go up to the top of the hill. Will he complete the pass? We'll see Mueller try to battle him to the inside through roller coaster. Now they're going to cross over to where Welker will have the advantage. He hits the curbing, still maintains the spot as they now head back into hog pen, and Welker loses it but gains control. Here comes, of course, driver of Mueller, tries to hold on at a hog pen, back onto the front straightaway here, and Welker gets a great run. He'll duck to the outside as they come across the start-finish line. Side-by-side battle for position in that top 5 as they approach the braking zone into the horseshoe. Mueller has the inside advantage. Welker's going to try to send it a little bit deeper, but Mueller tries to hold on, pushes him up the racetrack a little bit, and not going to be able to complete the pass. Will be Welker that time. Holds on as they come up to NASCAR Bend, and then none other than to the left hook here. A little bit of a trot for the curve as they go back into the braking zone of the left hook, and then sidewind their way through Snake once again here on the back half of the course.
Tremendous throttle control by Welker. He had a great entry off the back straightaway, conservative on the brake, and had himself set up for that corner, but it's just a minor inconvenience to almost hit that grass, and he had to get out of the throttle. Back on board here as Welker will regroup and reset, and you can already see that Hampa is already left. Just look at how fast this looks as everything kind of blazes by on the side, but they're not even 150 right now. Now you start to try to gain a little bit of that speed as they were jumping over the curbs into Oak Tree turn here, and you see that wide arcing corner. It's just not a great area to pass. You find up this slipstream here and try to make it work. Meanwhile, Rodriguez still holding off more here in this top spot, but these two have checked out to the next county. And boy, I tell you what, fun points battle right here between the top 2 and overall points.
It really is a great battle between these two. Nathan Moore in the 1 machine, Bryce Rodriguez in the 5. You're on board with Nathan as they come out of hog pen, back onto the front straightaway here. It's going to be 6 laps to go as they come across the start-finish line, working their way down across into the braking zone of Horseshoe. Moore shows his nose. He's going to look to the inside, but thinks better of it as Rodriguez shuts the door on him.
Tremendous battle here between your top 2 in the point series, and for Rodriguez, overtaking through a mistake from Moore. Now this is just where you don't have to drive defensively. That wasn't that defensive of a line. He gave him the line on entry and just continued through his corner. There's still 6 laps to go in this race, so it's all about the patience, and also can you conserve maybe a little bit more tire and really pound the ground through one of those slipstreams a little bit later on. On board here as we begin to trek uphill, and you just see all the speed and velocity here. And once you come through this S right here, it's really about trying to grab onto those curbs. You see how Moore reels in Rodriguez into a braking zone here, and you are almost on that tail. It doesn't look like it's going to be enough, though, to get this position moving into the next corner.
As they approach the braking zone through Oak Tree, then they're going to let it wide open down the back straightaway here. A great opportunity for Nathan Moore to get right onto the gearbox of Rodriguez as they work up to the top of the hill. Will he try to slipstream and slingshot past his competitor? He'll look to the inside. They're going to go side by side and through the back straightaway as they approach the top of the hill. He will try to complete that. A big send by Rodriguez. He gets a little bit wiggly right there through the roller coaster. Rodriguez holds on, but that was a big time send into roller coaster, and he was able to make it stick as they come through hog pen. A little bit of a slide right there by Rodriguez to hold on through it, and here they come out of hog pen back onto the front straightaway. Moore with another great run. He'll look to the outside as we get the big high five from Barney the Flagman. 5 laps to go as they work their way to the horseshoe. Big send right there by Moore as he'll try to outbrake him, but Rodriguez will try to make it work. Crossover by Moore, not able to make it stick this time, but he will hold on. Rodriguez being very aggressive here in these late stages.
Moore just couldn't quite stomp on that throttle. Bryce Rodriguez, the points leader in this series, but only has 1 win to his credit this season. It has all just been through consistency so far through 3 weeks. Looking for that second win. Nathan Moore, he wants win number 11 this season in the SR10. So this would be a great momentum shift for Bryce Rodriguez in the New York club to find himself a win here at VIR in this split and be able to get himself maybe a little bit more of a gap here on Nathan Moore as we continue on through the long part of the season.
Watching on here as we see these two Titans battle it out here at VIR, working their way out of that hairpin, now opening it up to the long back straightaway. A little bit of a bobble right there by Moore as he tries to get onto the throttle there. You'll see Rodriguez trying to make sure he can break the draft from Moore as you're on board with him, gaining the real As, of course, we're watching this, you can have a chance to have these exhilarating battles here on this circuit with this car. Go to iRacing.com, and it's 40% off for any new member who wants to come on board with us here on the iRacing service as they work their way back through Hogpen. So go check out iRacing.com. You get already, when you sign on, a bunch of great content from ovals, road course, dirt racing, rallycross, you name it. You get to try it out when you come on board. As they come across the line, it's going to be 4 laps to go between Rodriguez and Moore. Moore's going to send it up to the outside. Rodriguez is going to be defensive. Spins by Moore. He was going to try to save it. Thankfully, he had a little bit of a wiggle room to be able to stay in second, but he lost all that valuable time to race leader Bryce Rodriguez.
He wanted to outbreak him. He wanted to get that run coming out of 1 and really burst his way through NASCAR Bend in 2 and 3 and just couldn't get it. And now Rodriguez might just be on track to his second win this season, the SR10s. And to your point, Taylor, one of the items that you get when you sign up for iRacing is the older radicals that happen to be on the service. I tell you what, if you're leery about making this purchase, if you like the older radicals, you will love the SR10. The way that these things race still have the fun attributes of that former radical car, and now these SR10s just take it to a whole nother level. Gonna take a look back here. What happens in turn number 1 for Moore? It's just a matter of trying to outbrake going into this corner and gain the advantage to the rest of it. Simple lock up there, going for all the marbles in turn 1. He knew time was starting to run out. And we have some more chaos. Here's Mueller. He was in 7th position. He got into the wall in O'Connor.
Yeah, it's Julius Mueller, who was battling inside the top 5 now. Unfortunately, he will drop to 7th position. That now opens the door for Mitchell Welker to get back into the top 5 for the first time here today. He has a little bit of work to do to catch up to Mari Hanpa, but he has Nacho Salas right behind him in the position as we go to 8th, 9th, and 10th between Ambry, Oscar, and Cohen, who are now working their way up to the top of the hill of Roller Coaster. Oscar, who was up inside the top 5 at one point, trying to find a way to recover and get his way up through the field right now, as we have the one back in the lead as Bryce Rodriguez had a problem on the racetrack. And it looks like the reason why Bryce Rodriguez had a spin coming out of the final corner, and it just shows how difficult how this racing is here as we're watching on Rodriguez now 2.5 seconds back from Nathan Moore. Moore trying to now be able to make a smooth run to the finish here as we go on here watching this battle as we're closing in 3 laps to go here as they come up through turn 7. Watching the speed that these radicals carry is absolutely phenomenal. Take a look at the replay here of Bryce Rodriguez, and he's coming through out of the roller coaster, approaching none other than Hogpen, and right there clips the grass, goes off track, goes off-roading for quite some time. Something you don't really want to do with these radicals. There is other cars on the service that you can enjoy some off-road racing, but for Nathan Moore, on the route to win number 11 this season, as P3 driver has had a major incident. That is once again Devin. A lot of the front runners struggling here in these late stages.
This is a rough combo. I really enjoy the way that this car drives at VIR, and when you look ahead at the schedule for this series specifically, going to Sebring next week, Red Bull Ring is the following week. I absolutely love those 2 racetracks. They're probably just my favorite road courses on the service, and then having VIR here, great combination of racetracks. Is the more drivers that continue to have issues, as a driver in the top 10, you go, man, there's one more spot I might be able to get. And you know what, if you get that one more spot, if I pass the guy in front of me, that's 2 more spots, like really easily. So 2 laps to go, there's still a lot of marbles on the line here.
It certainly is. A lot of positions, a lot of points are up for grab for drivers, whether it be for those who are wanting to build their iRating, build their safety rating in order to go and race in other classes on the iRacing service. And of course, also for drivers like Nathan Moore and Bryce Rodriguez, the chance to go and win championships in these divisions, as we're watching here. Watching this battle for position amongst these competitors. Great racing amongst them as they work through Snake. 2 laps to go for your race leader, Nathan Moore, who has stretched it out to a 3-second lead over Bryce Rodriguez. As they continue to watch on here, this is the battle for position here between the 6 machine as well as also the 8 machine of Matty Hanpa and Mitchell Welker, who is now in 4th position, approaching up to Oak Tree. as we watch these two battle for position out of Oak Tree. They'll go down the back straightaway. Welker has a great opportunity to get a good run on his competitor and see if he can overtake him once they get to the top of the hill of Roller Coaster.
A chance to grab a podium. This is a lot of fun on this exact combo. This is actually a realistic combo that the last time the Radical Cup North America series ran here at VIR back on April 28th of 2019, you had stuff like this, just guys being able to go wheel to wheel, and now Welker's able to put himself in a podium position. You know, a lot of fun when you're able to take these Radical cars in real life. They had 3 races that weekend. Jim Booth found victory lane twice that day in their top classification, the Masters. And the best lap on that day, they were still running the SR8s, was a 148.226. If you're really good, you might be able to get on iRacing almost 10 seconds faster than the last time the Radical Cup North America Series ran here just 3 years ago.
Going to have a look at the replay to what happened to Callum Brandt in the 2 machine. He had a major issue. As we take a look here, as he will have this spin in front of him. Contact is made. He will get looped around. More damage. Of course, ooh, big time damage right there. Of course, thanks to the wonderfully made new damage model here on the iRacing service with these Radicals. And there you see, it just shows how very violent the wrecks can be sometimes with these Radicals, and especially with that new damage model here on the track. White flag, though, is out for Nathan Moore. The drive for 11 wins this season. He'll come out of Oak Tree for the final time. Lap traffic up ahead of him, but it's not going to be any issue or pressure for him. He will continue to try and close the gap on this championship between himself and Bryce Rodriguez as they work down the back straightaway for the final time here. Devin, great racing between these two. Unfortunately, mistakes cost both of them the chance really to continue racing side by side for position. Up to the top of the hill through Roller Coaster for the final time. Nathan Moore being smooth and consistent this time around as he comes up to Hogpin one more time, clips the curbing a little bit, and out of the final corner onto the front straightaway. Nathan Moore in the 1 machine, started on the front row, will claim pole and will take the checkered flag here at VIR with the win and number 11 for him this season as they come across the start-finish line. Matty Hanpa continuing to battle on, holding off Mitchell Welker, who actually got past him for 3rd, as more cars are currently trying to come around here to finish up their lap. There's the 9 machine of Julius Mueller and the 11 machine also of Daniel Porter coming up back around the circuit. Great racing action here, Devin, at VIR.
You know what, Paul Newman, the great actor and race car driver, or a lot of people know him as the voice of Disney Pixar's Doc Hudson from Cars. He had that famous quote, "If there's a heaven on earth, it's VIR." I don't know how many of these drivers felt like it was heaven on earth. We had a lot of mistakes today, but that's what iRacing allows you to do. Go out, make those mistakes, jump back into a practice session the very next minute, and go and perfect that craft.
It certainly is a great way to perfect your craft, but here it is a look of your results. Nathan Moore, Bryce Rodriguez, Mitchell Welker. Your podium finishers here with Matty Hanpa and Nacho Salas rounding out your top 5. Then it's Michael Matusik, followed by Julius Mueller, and then, of course, Amory in 8th position. Oscar Pesavento will be in 9th, with Stefan Van Hale rounding out your top 10. 11th, of course, will be Daniel Porter with Giacomo Benpidi in 12th, Daniel Trenska in 13th, Sam White, Connor Pritko rounding out your top 15, Cody Wanda, Boba Newman, Callum Brandt, and Peter Cohen rounding out your 19-car field. Brandt and Cohen did not finish the race. Well, of course, this is not just only the racing action you will catch here on the iRacing service. We have, of course, so much more to talk about, and it starts off on Tuesday, July the 5th, as the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series heads to another amazing road circuit here in North America. Road America, catch the action as we see here some of the great racing action from earlier this season, as we watch on here with the next-gen cars battling at Road America, the second road course of the season for these competitors. As we'll see, Devin, a lot of great driving happening. Of course, Ray Alfala taking home the win last time out at Nashville.
And we're coming to the playoffs. This is clutch time. You want to get in the win column or accumulate those points to overtake everyone else. So there's a lot at stake right now in the Coca-Cola Series. So it's going to be fun to watch them hit Road America. We've seen a couple of these road course ringers put out some great whoopings on the field. And you need a dub. Hey, I say Road America is a good place to get it.
Last time we went to Road America, we saw a very chaotic battle between Mitchell DeYoung, who was the winner from last season, and Bobby Zielinski battling it out for position there. So we'll see if that rivalry continues on here this coming Tuesday night at Road America. A lot of exciting things happening this week and iRacing all across the service. Make sure to go check it out as we come to a close. For, of course, my co-host Devin Henry, Paul Smith, and Jake Sperry, who called the earlier GT4 race, I'm Taylor Burris. Thank you for watching today's iRacing Happy Hour.